Good day, everybody. We're diving back in. We're belly flopping hard back in to this damn case that doesn't make sense, the Charlie Kirk assassination. Candace Owens, if you didn't catch her yesterday, she dropped some bombshells like his dad didn't know Tyler was gay. Very interesting. And Tyler was bewildered when he heard anything about engravings on any casings. And 3, he didn't actually write those texts. I know, shocking. There's a little bit more that we're going to get into, and I can't wait. My name's Cribs. Welcome back to Disinformation. Let's go. Where do I even begin? There was so much information dropped yesterday by Candace, who only has a small team of 4, mind you. Keep that in mind. She's the only one with boots on the ground that I'm aware of that wants to solve this case, this murder, this assassination, allegedly done by this Tyler Robinson. I don't know anyone who believes that, mind you. So a couple things that she dropped yesterday, just some tidbits and then some shocking stuff we'll get to later on. Apparently Tyler's dad didn't know he was gay. Only said that his roommate Lance, who was just, I don't believe, ever questioned, even after the raid or possible staging of their apartment, was his buddy, his friend. But in fact, he was definitely his lover, furry man thing. Which is fine, man. You do you, boo. No judgment. Not by this guy. Anywho, didn't know he was gay. Okay, interesting. Also found out that he was not much of a hunter. He was more of a fisherman, which I can definitely see that, to be honest. Was he a gun enthusiast? I guess that's kind of the question up in the air. There are a couple of pictures out there of him holding some guns, and so, his dad was a cop. I'd imagine my dad was not a cop, but we grew up in the South, and of course, we learned how to handle a gun properly as a young kid, as I think most people should do, and introduce their kids in the right way with gun safety. A couple other things. Apparently, the dad didn't turn him in. I feel like that's pretty shocking because that was one of the first things that I heard from old Spencer Cox, that his dad, his father, turned him in. It's not the case, man. It was a family friend. It was a detective, actually a retired detective of 24 years. He convinced Tyler, hey, listen, I really think if you did this, you probably should turn yourself in. There's also another report saying that Tyler Robinson, was suicidal after, and he was put in solitary. I've worked in solitary. I was in law enforcement for a long time. I used to work at jails and prisons. Being in solitary will make you go freaking crazy. It kind of makes sense why the feds would put him in that area. But he claimed he is not suicidal, and I feel like we've heard this before. Epstein. Bullshit case. Hopefully there's no missing footage of that minute that they ultimately retrieved. And of course there was nothing on there. Again, laughable, sad. So there's a lot of stuff in here that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, man. And it just keeps getting weirder. So the detective, Mike Mitchell, no really background on him. Candace tried to look into it. She could not find, except for one picture online of him retiring last year. Mike Mitchell actually called to a deputy who does work on the force, who happens to be in the same picture, and said, hey, listen, I think I've found Charlie Kirk's murderer. We're going to try to get him in, and we want to do this as delicate as we can. He doesn't want a big raid. He's, quote unquote, I believe he was worried for himself and his family. He didn't want to get shot. So that doesn't make sense when he says or claims that he was suicidal. Kind of goes against the theory, right? It just gets weird, man. Apparently, this detective knew the family by way of the church and by Boy Scouts. Who knows? We'll find out more, though. If anybody is on it, Candace will give us some clarification. So, like I said in the intro, apparently Tyler was, quote-unquote, bewildered about any casings that had engravings on it. Had no idea. As well as, like, the texts. The texts, which I do have a theory on, which makes a lot of sense, that when whoever put it together, if it wasn't this Lance and this Tyler, they prompted that shit in ChatGPT or DeepSeek. And the way they prompted it seems like they're in discussion in the 20s, not in their 20s, if that makes sense. Let's have, hey, listen, here's the who, what, where, why, and have this a discussion that sounds like someone in the 20s, not their 20s. I think it's plausible, to be completely honest with you, because the way it sounds, my love, please go look under the keyboard where I stashed away my confession. My love. I don't know, man. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and nothing will convince me otherwise that this is a cut and dry case. He did it on the roof, blah, 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 blah. Kind of another shocking thing is Tyler claims that he's never been on that campus in his life. Was he close? Yeah. But he says, I have never stepped foot on that campus. Remember, folks, you are innocent before you're found guilty. Yet, this is what the media does. This is what, especially this country does. We always put the blame on someone because the media tells us to. Remember what Spencer Cox said. We got him. We got the killer of Charlie Kirk. He tried being the savior. And the man can speak well. I'll give him that. But something doesn't feel right. In the famous words of Candace Owens, we don't know, but we know, And she's right. There's just too much bullshit attached to this case. Even the deputy that had the friend of the detective, the quote-unquote friend that he had that called him up and said, hey, listen, we found the guy. Just watch the damn interview. He's shaking. Not a given, he could be just nervous, but the way he's breathing, I don't know, maybe too much coffee, maybe not. Spencer Cox, the vibes are not there, dude. The vibes are strange. And then, of course, the parents. Shocking news. Because I thought, just like you, the father turned him in. Incorrect. It is now fact that the father did not turn him in, obviously. It was the detective. He was talked into it. So why would the media say that? Also, another fun fact. Apparently, the parents don't believe that Tyler did it. I feel like that's pretty relevant. That's a big one. So what the hell are we doing here? So why wouldn't the parents just come out and say, hey, listen, I don't know what the flip is going on here, but we don't believe our son is capable of killing. Why wouldn't they do that? That's because they're in witness protection. The feds have convinced them not to speak and to be in witness protection. I don't know, dude. It just gets crazy. It's too crazy. I can't handle it. And it's every part of the case. It's not just like one or two things. If it was one or two things, except for the text, like if you got rid of the text thing, and it was just like one or two things, like the rifle being reassembled and found in the woods. Okay, well there's ways. Maybe he's just an expert at taking apart a rifle, putting it back together. Like you can get really fast, I guess. Not that fast, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. There's just too much. And then there's like the Dairy Queen picture where he has a combination of the clothes that he was wearing before and after, and from when he was caught. Completely different. I think just the shirt, and then he was wearing shorts. Like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Another thing, the parents said that if you've seen the pic of the gentleman, I'm not saying that's Tyler by any means, of walking up the stairs at that campus on the day of, I'm sorry, dude, it doesn't look like him. There's features, but you know who it looks like? Actually, it looks like several people I know, including my brother. I said, you good, dude? I texted him. I was like, you good? You're not out there in Utah, are you, brother? He's like, no, not me. Don't you pin that shit on me. They're trying to get anybody on that shit. And he was right, because I think they got the wrong guy. I'll say it right now. My opinion is this. They got the wrong fucking guy. And they had to pin it on somebody because, 33 hours went by? and they found him in a close vicinity after he went to Dairy Queen. You commit the first, we're going to say, possible, quote unquote, first murder you've ever done in such on a college campus you're running away from, and you go to a Dairy Queen. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And maybe I'm wrong on that. And you let me know in the comments if I am, because I don't understand. So he's not suicidal. Because we all heard he was suicidal. He's suicidal. He claims absolutely not. I'm not suicidal. His parents say absolutely not. He's not suicidal. He was worried. This is why he turned himself in, because his name and his face was plastered all over the news. What would you do in that situation? Say you were falsely accused for something as horrible as killing somebody on a college campus, and your face is all over the news. What would you do? You'd have to turn yourself in. What, are you going to go on the run and make yourself look more guilty? I don't know, dude. I'm just saying, put yourself in someone's shoes that maybe didn't do this. You know what I mean? Maybe you did. And maybe just every step along the way just doesn't make sense. Again, I think I said it yesterday. It's a really bad movie. Like, it's a really bad movie, and cases aren't this ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, bullets do crazy things, but they don't get just stuck in a neck, especially a 30-06. Maybe a 22. It's a very small round. Very, very little gunpowder in those casings. So, and there's been known to, like, actually, do you remember a case where someone got shot in the head and it bounced around their skull? Well, it's a small round. It may have pierced, but it's not, especially in a skull where it's very, very thick. But not your neck bones. They're not that thick at all. Especially for a 30-06. I don't know, man. And then the dad didn't know he was gay. Plausible. Happens. You know? I want to hear more from Lance, the boyfriend. Haven't heard shit from him. You know? I want to see the confession. I want to see it. Is it his handwriting? He claims it's not his. And of course, you know, the texts, that just seemed obvious to me that no one actually wrote those. And if they did, it's no. It's a big no for me, because it just doesn't make sense. And then there's this story with Candace that I'll try to be brief. It is a very long story, and I'll try to just give you the highlights. Apparently, she gets a lot of tips for cases, and there was this, we'll just call him Nick. That's what she says. Nick reached out and said, hey, listen, I know Phil Lyman. He's a Republican. I think he was a Republican candidate that ran against Spencer Cox. Neither here nor there. I know him fairly well, and I want to help you out. And this was based on a tip that he gave. I believe it was something like Nick knew the street, and it just so happens to be Phil Lyman's family on that street. Turns out Phil Lyman was actually parked, as we all saw the footage, when Tyler was walking. Phil Lyman's car was right there on that street. It's a crazy coincidence. So why was he there? Apparently that was his aunt's house right in front. Okay. Strange. Because Phil Lyman was talking to Charlie Kirk right before he got on, I say stage, but right before he got in his tent and got shot. Well, that's strange. You're now in the video where the assassin was, and you were in the tent right before he got shot too. I'm not saying he had anything to do with that. I just find it a very weird coincidence. So then Candace goes on to say that I looked into every single house, and apparently there's 12 homes. 12 homes that are owned by that Lyman family. It's strange, man. It's weird. Really weird. And I don't know if you caught the Good Morning American clip where there was a woman and two girls. I think her nieces. Oh, the woman, what was her name? Tiffany Tiffany Barker, I believe. Tiffany Barker has ties with Phil Lyman, which is how she got the interview. Her and her nieces, and she said her entire family, there was like a group of 16, if I remember correctly, were right there in front of Charlie Kirk. Which is strange because Candace has gone through all the footage and she doesn't see Tiffany Barker there at all. Strange. Whatever. Just weird. Well, if you watch this clip in Good Morning America, and I tell you to go just YouTube it. It's on there. Tiffany Barker, Utah, Charlie Kirk. It's weird. It seems staged. Even the children, which, I have kids of my own. If they saw something that horrific, do you think I'd put them on TV and just fuel the fire for trauma? No, maybe we need to go sit down and talk to somebody for, therapy and not go down national TV and have one of these girls was saying, yeah, I saw him got shot in the artery and there's blood everywhere. Maybe you don't do that to a little girl, especially if they were there, if she's telling the truth. But it seemed very scripted. Watch it yourself. Prove me wrong. Turns out, Phil Lyman got them on Good Morning America. Very weird. He's just kind of in and out of this whole thing. So going back to Nick. Nick was the guy that provided the tip to Candace, said that he's a big Phil Lyman fan. Well, Phil has allegedly introduced himself into Nick's life. Now, this is a 20 or 22-year-old college student there in Utah. He doesn't live in the town. But he came over to Nick's house the other day, and he was very nervous from what Nick told Candace. And asking him a lot of strange questions. I am interested on what and why he was so nervous about. Not saying he had anything to do with it. I'm just saying that his name keeps popping up. Just like the Steele's name. We didn't get into that yesterday, but apparently there's a Steele is a prominent name there in that town. And, some of that footage was taken from one of the houses that belonged to Steele, which apparently all these people just own home. I wish I owned my home. Apparently these people have homes all over the place. I don't know, dude. It's weird and it needs to be looked into. All of it. Because that's a lot of information. It's a lot of information, factual information from what Candace says, that we did not get initially. And if you look at it, of course, everyone's talking about the government shutdown now. Distraction. No one's talking about the Tyler and Charlie Kirk case here. And if Charlie was looking down, I'm sure he would be extremely disappointed. Because he apparently, very well-known figure, a lot of friends, and the only friend that's helping him out is Candace Owens. From what I see, because if you have half a brain and a little bit of common sense, you can look at this and say, nah, fam. Nah, this ain't it. Sorry, I've seen a lot of cases myself, just being prior in law enforcement, and I have a brain and I have common sense, and it's sorry, there's too much weird shit. Yeah, and I can't wait to dive in more, and Candace is on that. What do you guys think? Am I crazy? If so, just tell me. I'm cool with it. I don't think I am. I mean, maybe a little. We're all a little crazy. Anyway, I got shit to do today. So I hope you guys have a great day. I can't wait to come back, talk more about it. I can't wait to hear more information. Again, my name is Cribs. This is Disinformation. And I can't wait to talk to you again. You have a good day.